Hello, good morning. Welcome live to Oschersleben in Germany on Eurosport 2 for race 8 of the Formula 3000 International Masters Series. Martin Haven and David Leslie here for what looks like it might actually turn out to be 24 laps of Oschersleben today. After yesterday's race distance was curtailed by the weather, they got their 30 minutes of running, but certainly not in that time their 24 laps. Yesterday's race won at a canter by the man who started third position on the grid, and he managed to get the lead at the first corner and just drove away. Massimo Torre was never challenged after the first corner of the race, but behind him there was a very successful outing for Filip Salaquadra, taking over the car of championship leader Jaroslav Yanis, who's at the Le Mans test weekend. Salaquadra drove into a superb second place. And the first two from yesterday's race start 8th and 7th on the grid for today, because the top 8 are reversed, which leaves Brands Hatch race 2 winner Luca Persiani as the man on pole position. David Leslie, he won his first race in the series at Brands, and now he starts on pole in the dry here at Oschersleben. But of course, by virtue of the way that the grid is set up, the next 7 men behind him are actually theoretically quicker. So pole is perhaps a little bit of a poison chalice in race 2.
It works not too bad for some of them. Some of the guys don't do so well in the first race, but starting further up the grid, I don't know, it gives them a bit of a confidence starting further up the grid, and all of a sudden they put in a very good spirited performance, and some of them can actually stay towards the front if you've got any sort of experience at all. But yes, we've got Passini and Bellarado now on the front row of this for the race 2, and I think the two of them together, provided they don't start arguing over the tarmac in front of them, then hopefully they'll be able to put in a good performance and be able to come up with some good points haul.
You just saw car number 20, Alessandro Piegguidi. He was the pole sitter yesterday, made a mess of the start, got out-dragged by this man, Daniel Move, into the first corner. Move got ahead of him, and then Torre came around the outside of the two of them as they squabbled over the lead, and thereon they saw no more of him. The Russian had better fortunes in the rain yesterday than in Brands Hatch, where he got knocked off in both races. And the man on the outside of the front row of the grid, Ignacio Bellarado, he is the man who is currently our junior championship leader, the Momo Trophy for the under-21s. You just saw Salaquadra there, who made his Formula 3000 debut in this championship yesterday, and he was most impressive indeed. Came up from 8th in qualifying to eventually finish a very strong second, but Massimo Torre just had enough to hold him off in the end. Car number 3 there is Tedeschi, and yesterday really didn't feature at all Giovanni Tedeschi. Currently came here 6th in the championship. Jaroslav Yanis, the points leader, not here as I mentioned, but then he's got a 24-point advantage with a maximum total of 20 points on offer for any race weekend. So he knew he wasn't going to lose his championship lead by going to Le Mans test weekend, and it would mean, of course, that he can race in the 24 hours. Jean Charus then second in points, didn't exactly cover himself in glory yesterday. Charus finished in 5th position, and so has advanced a little bit on his teammate, but not a great deal. Ignacio Bellarado finishing in 7th place in the race, but still leading the junior title. And Luca Persiani, well, really only properly came on form at Brands Hatch, winning that second race, and at that stage nearly doubling his total points haul for the season from the previous 5 outings. So Persiani's yellow and blue car on pole. Frankly, David, really, while you were enjoying the sunshine at Spa, he was not enjoying the rain here. He really made a very poor fist of it, which I was slightly surprised by. But maybe from the front of the field he'll have a little bit better chance.
Yeah, as I was saying, with the confidence of being at the front, and you've got a clear track in front of you, really what you've got to do is concentrate on what's actually happening in front of you and not worry about what's going on behind. Yes, they've all got the mirrors on the car. Some of the cars you see, certainly with the 2 car teams with the same colour scheme, the one thing they try and alter is the colour of the mirrors in order to try and identify them as they're going around. Well, as long as they don't look in their mirrors to see what's going on behind them, but concentrate on what's going on in front of them, they've got a very good opportunity to actually get away and drive away. But they've got a nice dry circuit today as compared to the wet weather of yesterday for this race, and hopefully it should be incident free. But having said that, we've seen very few. I think I've seen 1 incident free race out of the 6 so far in the championship for this Formula 3000 Masters. They do tend to have either a fall off on their own, which is most consistent, or sometimes even run into each other. But we'll see what happens today when they set off.
Well, this is the warm-up lap, of course, as they head off for the final time around the Motordrome Oschersleben. And Oschersleben, variously 13 or 14 turn circuit, depending on whose maps you believe. The official map shows corners numbered 1 to 14, but then the penultimate corner is also called turn 8. So quite why that appears to be the case, I'm not sure. Because turn 4 and turn 6 are numbered turn 7 and turn 10, and there's no way you can shortcut a bit of their circuit and count them in to have turn 13 as turn 8. Anyway, there we go. Luca Persiano, Ignacio Beloardo, the front row of the grid. Persiani in the yellow and blue machine, and then Marco Mocci and Jan Charuz with his silver car on row 2. Mocci's orange and black Allen Racing machine quite clearly there. Alessandro Piedguidi, the ADM Junior team driver, with teammate Daniel Move alongside, and then the silver car of Felipe Salaquadra, the Czech in the Charuz Racing effort, with Massimo Torre alongside him. Giovanni Tedeschi and Emilio Di Vallota, who was also singularly unimpressive in the wet. Davide Di Benedetto looked great, and then the car went right off song and ended up lapped ahead of Christian Kadena. Solieri and Graves didn't really have too much of a race yesterday. Tor Graves really a little bit out of his depth in the rain here yesterday. Had another new circuit for him, and then right at the back, Michele Merendino, who got knocked off, as seems to be his one. He really does have the Formula 3000 car magnets attached to his car. The team have really got to find those and stop him getting biffed off by other people. So yeah, Tor Graves in car number 6 towards the tail of the field, starts in 14th place out of these 15 cars, and the English driver just again for the first time at Oschersleben and learning this circuit in the wet in a car like this, as Christian Kadena proved, again having spun on the warm-up lap yesterday in the rain, is no easy job. So cars making their way round towards the grid again, and it is at least dry, if not exactly hot and sunny. There's number 3, Giovanni Tedeschi, the second of these 3 dark blue cars, and there are the 2 teammates, Piedguidi and Daniel Move, nose to tail in their cars. Silver car just going out of shot there, that's the car of Felipe Salaquadra. Heartened to see a few more spectators turning out here in the brisk weather at Oschersleben than braved yesterday's rain, but then today is race day for the World Touring Car Championship at what should be, hopefully, a happy hunting ground for BMW. Crowd awaiting the start of race 8 of the Formula 3000 International Masters as the cars form up on the grid before the start of the 24-lapper here at Oschersleben in Germany. And yesterday's top 2, Massimo Torre and Felipe Salaquadra, starting on row 4 of the grid. The top 8 from yesterday's race reversed. Ignacio Beloardo on the right of your screen, pointed towards the outside of the track, and Luca Persiani, the pole man, he's going for the racing line. Away they go, and Persiani, the pole sitter, has stalled it, and that has mean the yellow flags all over the place. Everybody avoids him. The Allen's racing car, Marco Mocci and Jan Charuz from row 2 almost get ahead of Ignacio Beloardo, and the absolute antithesis of a good start from Luca Persiani. He is still stationary there, and that means it seems unlikely that his race will actually get away. It's Marco Mocci, the orange and black car, that leads. Ignacio Beloardo second, being challenged by Jan Charuz, the silver car. Charuz desperate to try and make his way past. He fluffed any chance of getting maximum points in yesterday's race as Persiani has pushed away from the grid. And he wasn't the only one there either. Is that Daniel Move? It looks as though it might have been. He was on that driver's left of the grid. Well, David, dramatic start, or lack of it there, from the pole sitter and from the man who was in 6th place on the grid. But all that has meant that Marco Mocci has the lead now.
Yeah, we're just saying that, you know, sitting in that front row gives you a great deal of confidence. Unfortunately, it didn't give Passini any confidence. He lacked total confidence. And what happened, whether he stalled it or something went wrong with the clutch, I don't know. But certainly his race is over before he even started, sitting on the front row with nowhere to go. He was very lucky that with all those cars behind that nobody actually ran into the back of him, but with all the waved yellow flags everyone managed to move over to the side to be able to miss them.
So Marco Mocci leads for Allen's Racing. Lots of diving around as they come across the start-finish line for the first time. And let's have a look again as the poleman absolutely fails to go, resolutely not moving. And do you know what? The car didn't chunk and shudder, as so often happens when a car stalls. It just looks as though he dropped the clutch and absolutely nothing was connected. Has he moved? Yes, he has moved slightly, so he did get some drive and then stall it.
Yeah, it looked as though the car just made that fraction move forward and then just immediately stopped. So here's the marshals trying to get them back through the hole in the wall before they come round to the start and finish. They're only just going to get that done because it's after this chicane. They've got a couple of right-handers and then they'll be back onto the start and finish, and only just having the cars cleared off the start line before these guys and these are extremely quick cars coming back round.
A little bit of contact here at the Hasselrode hairpin. Oh dear, and it's not a good day for ADM, is it? Because that's the man who started on pole yesterday, Alessandro Pierguidi, around the outside of Felipe Salaquadra. And he just didn't find enough racing room. Luckily, dry enough for him to be able to avoid the barriers, but still stuck there after 3 laps is Luca Persiani's car. It is Marco Mocci that leads, Ignazio Beloardo second, Jan Charuz in 3rd place. And behind him, I'm pretty sure that is Torre, yesterday's winner, in 4th spot. Can't think who else it would be. 5th place is Salaquadra. 6th position, I would guess, is Giovanni Tedeschi, and it looks as though it probably is. Behind him, Davide Di Benedetto. It's the other way round. The teammates the other way around. Di Benedetto has got ahead of Tedeschi. He's up into 6th position. And it's Di Villota in 7th place. So Emilio Di Villota making a slightly better start than he did yesterday. That's from 10th up to 7th. Torgraves behind, Christian Kadena. Now they're dropping back a little bit from our lead group. But we've got a good strong queue of 6, 7, 8 cars all close together. So it looks as though we might have a bit of a race on our hands. A little bit of a move offline by the driver of car number 10, Felipe Salaquadra. Did a lot of that in the wet yesterday, moving offline to see where he was going and then moving back on. Obviously no need for that at the moment, but here's a move for second. Jan Charuz down the inside into the final corner. Didn't get the move and the drive that he wanted, but that, I think, caught Ignazio Beloardo a little by surprise. That was a very aggressive move from Jan Charuz. Now, will he pay for it on the run down to the first corner? He doesn't, but again, Salaquadra wants to move up the order, and he's having trouble getting past the car in front of him of Massimo Torre.
These guys now sort of settling into the race and trying to work out where the best places are to get past. But remember, they had a very wet race yesterday and some wet qualifying, so a lot of them are just finding their way in this circuit. Very technical, very twisty circuit, and he coming up to a corner which you've got to brake and turn at the same time, and then immediately turn from the left to the right, and it's a long technical corner, one of the most technical parts of the circuit just there. And they come out of here into a chicane after there we are through that chicane there, and out to a right-hander onto the back straight, and to try and give himself a little bit of breathing space. But you get very little breathing space at all around this circuit. The guys, it is a fairly short circuit but very twisty, and you can see the leader now under real pressure to try and take that place away from him.
Well, particularly because Beloardo is feeling the heat of Charuz. Charuz got inside him this corner last time, and Beloardo has a go for himself, smokes him up under braking, loses the place to Jan Charuz, and here comes Massimo Torre as well. Beloardo will be dead in the water. Torre really has to make the move here. He's got to go inside. It's a good, deep braking area on the inside, but he daren't go in there. There's 2 cars already nearly abreast. So Mocci under lots of pressure at the front. Marco Mocci, our race leader. Jan Charuz now in 2nd place, ahead of Ignazio Beloardo, and Massimo Torre all over the back of him. And again, Torre having a look down into Hasselrode. It really beckons you in, but it's a very hard corner to make a pass on because the inside line is so flat and so tight for so long. Felipe Salaquadra, the second of the silver cars, and then leading the three cars that are all dark blue and even darker blue. Davide Di Benedetto and Emilio Di Villota now ahead of teammate Giovanni Tedeschi. I beg your pardon, Giovanni Tedeschi's got ahead of teammate Emilio Di Villota. Then you can see the red car of Merendino. He has come a long way up from the tail of the field, but they are all now essentially in one long queue behind our leader, Marco Mocci. And poor old Marco is under a great deal of pressure. Jan Charouz desperate to get through now and take the lead of this race. He will have had a thoroughly good talking to himself last night. Oh, and Torgraves versus Christian Kadena. Oh, that's yesterday's pole sitter, who we saw going off onto the grass. That's Alessandro Pierguidi. He goes by Christian Kadena, and again another attempt at a move for the lead, but the battle for fourth is really hotting up now. Massimo Torre trying to find a way to get back past Felipe Salaquadra, because Salaquadra has moved up into fourth place ahead of yesterday's race winner. So the director sensibly perhaps choosing to go with the long shots. Here comes Salaquadra down the inside. Just as I was looking at the timing screens to find out who it was further back, Salaquadra went up to third, and that was a good move. He managed to hold on from Massimo Torre. Torre now with Davide Di Benedetto behind him. So Di Benedetto really pushing hard. And there is Christian Kadena, the former Olympic and world downhill ski champion, hanging on to the back of the group. Little gap still between third and fourth place, and it'll take a lap or so before Salaquadra manages to close right up. In the second Charouz racing entry, because Jaroslav Yanis not here, and again another good move there by yesterday's pole sitter Alessandro Pierguidi. Just couldn't hang on to the race lead yesterday away from the start. Made a bit of a mess of the conversion of pole into the first corner, and again Jan Charouz all over the race leader, David Leslie. He's really trying hard, but on the other hand, he has to be a little careful, because a couple of times I thought he's put himself in a position where the end result is likely to be that he's going to get hit.
That is a possibility, but you've got to think Jan Charouz, he really has been playing second fiddle to his teammate, who's not here this weekend, Yanis, and he hasn't won a race yet. He really wants to go out there and win a race. So he sees the opportunity now. He's got Mocker in front of him. He knows he's quicker than Mocker. The difference is trying to get past somebody. And when you've got a car as big and powerful and as wide as what these are, on such a small, tight, twisty circuit as Oschersleben is, it's very difficult to have a nice clean pass. So he is constantly pushing all the time. But right behind him, don't forget, in that white car is Bellarado. Bellarado was second, he lost it, dropped back to third, and he really is sort of pushing to try and stay there, stay in touch. He's making mistakes now. The problem is he's watching his mirror, because he's now got yesterday's race winner right on his tail. Now he's concentrating more on him than he is on this battle in front. Again, these guys, young guys, keep forgetting, concentrate what's going on in front. The guy behind, let him worry about getting past you. You make sure you stay in touch with the guys in front. And that's what the problem is at the moment.
There's the move for the lead. First corner at Oschersleben really demands that you make a move there at some stage in your career. Into Hotel, we saw the lead change. Jan Charouz took the bull by the horns for the first time here in turn one, diving inside Marco Mocci. And Mocci, as you could see on the outside there, although the apex of part two is on your side, by the time the driver gets alongside you, there's absolutely no way you can fight that in an open wheeler car. So Marco Mocci down to second. Jan Charouz leads the race. You're absolutely right, David. He's had 2 second places, 2 third places, compared to Jan Charouz, who's to Jaroslav Yanis, who's only had 1 second and 1 third. The difference between them is in the other 6 races, in the other 4 races of the 6, Jaroslav Yanis was in first place, whereas Jan Charouz had a 5th and a 0 position. So it was really his only chance against Jaroslav Yanis to win a race here, at least realistically so far. He is the younger and less experienced of the two, but he's in a position now where he is driving away very quickly from Marco Mocci, and that mistake by Bellarado a lap or so ago has just dropped them a little further back. And you're absolutely right. He was clearly watching the mirrors and then missed his braking point. He wasn't even watching the cars in front. He missed his markers, locked up the tyres, skidded out and nearly lost a position. Now he pulls off a tear-off visor, but a lot of meandering around the racetrack. I don't think he needed to run up to the pit wall to do that. And is that our leader? It is.
It is.
That's absolutely incredible. Jean Charus trying to put clear air between himself and the rest of the field, and he will rejoin down in 6th or 7th, and so therefore Marco Mocci is back in front. Let's see if we can catch him. It's the first corner again. Well, we've seen a lot of drivers make mistakes there, but that really under no pressure other than his own. Jean Charus just overcooked it into the first corner and it came round on him. That's really, again, a sign of just how wet behind the ears some of these guys are in pure racing terms.
That was a major mistake by Jean Charus. He had that opportunity to win a race. He had the opportunity to really close down the points on the championship leader, and he was under no pressure at all. He was driving away from second place man Mocca, and he just got far too excited out there on his own and unfortunately lost control of the car. That really will drop him a long way down the field. And
he had a 2-second lead in 1 lap over Marco Mocci. That's how hard he was pushing, but 1.8 as opposed to 1.995 would have done in a 1-lap breakaway, and it would have given him enough time to get into the first corner as well. And we have lost Emilio Di Vallota. Singularly unimpressive here this weekend, Di Vallota. Really not having any kind of a race of it, and that's the end of his race and probably his championship as well. He has only scored points once all year. That was second place on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in the first race, and that's the only track that he's even seen any of in his previous racing career. But Di Vallota just going out with a whimper here rather than any kind of a bang. Walks away from the car, and it's probably, I think, time he thought about walking away from the championship.
Number 3 there was actually Tedeschi.
Oh, it was Giovanni Tedeschi, right, OK, in that case, I'm sorry, I've identified the wrong driver in the wrong car. Yes, my entry list says the 3 Emilio Di Vallota.
He did change teams. Yes. That's one of the reasons he actually scored some points in Brands Hatch. In fact, he changed teams and all of a sudden he was a bit more on the pace. But having stayed with a new team here at Oschersleben, he still isn't on the pace here, so he really is struggling. Well, I'm saying he's struggling. He's down in 6th place at the moment.
Indeed. Well, still just about in touch with the lead group. Well, no, he's not actually. He's dropped quite some way away, hasn't he? So it was Giovanni Tedeschi who's gone out. Jean Charus in 9th place at the moment. So 10 seconds behind the leaders across the line last time, and that means that he has really done himself no favours whatsoever, just that tiny little bit of pushing. And now again, Marco Mocci with Ignazio Belloardo in 2nd place, the white car with the yellow helmet, and then the silver car with the red highlights and the red helmet, that's Felipe Salaquadra in 3rd. 4th place still Davide Di Benedetto, looking unlikely. No, it's not. Change there. Di Benedetto has been passed by Pier Guidi. Alessandro Pier Guidi, the white and blue car, is now 4th, and Davide Di Benedetto in 5th, still looking unlikely to make a move on anybody. Marco Mocci leading after about half race distance. They are now on lap 11 of the 24, 16 to go at this stage. Exciting replay of the 2nd place man pulling off a tear-off strip from his visor there. Presumably the director's never seen that before, but I'm sure the rest of us have. 3rd place, surprised that Salaquadra, oh dear, he has gone. The 4th place man drops the car off the road. Dear, oh dear, that was a very major mistake by Alessandro Pier Guidi. Rejoins behind Davide Di Benedetto, so he didn't really crucify his chances. So I was just about to say I'm surprised that Felipe Salaquadra in 3rd place hasn't been able to really make a move yet, but let's have a look at this again. Di Benedetto into the fast left-right sequence of the Shell S's. And no, it's not. In fact, that's out the final corner, isn't it? Yes, it is. There's a pit entry road. Just coming in too fast, too tight, and trying to hang on to it across the grass. Well, only lost 1 place to Davide Di Benedetto, so he's quite lucky that it's halfway through the race and the field is pretty strung out.
But we started off this race with a whole string of cars, probably about 8 or 9 of them, sort of nose to tail, all sort of have an opportunity for the lead. And we're now down to sort of 3, the 4th guy just a little bit further back. But they're down to 3 because they've had accidents, because they've fallen off, they've spun, they've had, you know, that sort of a problem. They've not had any mechanical problems, and it's just the inexperience of these guys that are creating their own problems rather than anything else.
I wonder if there's a degree. You're absolutely right. I mean, we've seen 2 or 3 really fairly fundamental errors made by drivers who should be at the front end. I mean, Pierre Guidi there, one, Jan Charus, the race leader, another one. But Christian Kadena is now 7th from 15th on the grid, 14th on the grid. Now, I wonder whether a degree of this is down to physical strength, as we see a very close attempt by Salakwadja to take second place from Beloardo. I wonder if the young gentlemen just aren't fit enough. Christian Kadena, let's face it, he was racing in the Olympics. He is as fit as they come. You can't be a downhill ski racer without being a solid wall of muscle. He's got no racing experience. This is only his 10th car race ever of any kind of level. And yet there he is, he's in the top 6. All right, he's 8 seconds behind the leader, but he's going pretty much as quick as he's ever gone, whereas most of the others, apart from his top 3, I think their pace has dropped off because these cars are very physical cars. Don't forget, although these are young drivers, these are Pucker Formula 3000 cars. And, you know, 3 years ago, this was the training ground for Formula 1, with all that implies in terms of horsepower and physical demands on the driver. I think the young gentlemen are perhaps wilting a little bit because these cars are just a tad physical for them.
The cars are very physical. You've got a lot of downforce in these cars. If you look at them, they look very much like a Formula 1 car. They've got wings on the front, big wing on the rear, and lots of other aerodynamic aids to try and get as much downforce as possible. And then when you create that amount of downforce, it makes the steering very heavy, and if the steering's heavy, you have to put a lot of effort into it. And that all of a sudden can make some of these guys quite tired. He was trying to get the first place. He does come out of that corner much good. Oh no, he didn't want to do that. That's going to cost him a position. Bounced over the curb. What damage has he done? Because we've seen before, who was it? It was Perguidi had a spin, and then we noticed it gone off altogether, so he was actually out of the race. But that was a mistake by Beloardo there.
Well, he had a really huge look, didn't he? And the leader, Marco Mocci, saw it coming and moved right over towards the pit wall to block the inside line. He knew that that was a weak point because he's been passed there before by Jan Charus. Wasn't going to let it happen again. Let's take a look at the replay then. Oh, this is something else. That's Davide Di Benedetto. And there is yesterday's... no, that's not the pole sitter yesterday. Who's 28? Beloardo, that's who it was. Beloardo trying to take his place back from Davide Di Benedetto, but didn't manage to do that. So Beloardo down to 4th. Davide Di Benedetto, without having even looked like making an overtaking manoeuvre, has come up to 3rd place now. And Di Benedetto started in 11th. And yet he's not, as far as we can tell, past anybody. And there's another one off. Dear, oh dear, they are just throwing them in the wheeze. This is Tor Graves, another of the ADM drivers, and again just running out of road. And really, again, a fairly fundamental error. Again, a challenge for the lead. Marco Mocci, with this time Felipe Salakwadja throwing his hat into the ring. And Salakwadja, having run 2nd place yesterday, all over him. Now Di Benedetto suddenly goes, hang on a minute, if I try and overtake somebody, I might win this thing now. I reckon Di Benedetto came to the grid in 11th place thinking, what a waste of time this is. I'm really not sure I can be bothered. And everybody in front of him has contrived to throw the cars off the island at a fairly prodigious rate. And suddenly he's going, hang on a minute, ooh, let's have a go, let's have a go. Well, he hasn't left it too late. There's still 8 laps left after this, so you know what, he might actually overtake somebody soon.
What he has done, he's just kept his head, he's concentrated on what he's doing, and he's kept out of trouble. All the rest have had trouble. They've fell over each other, and he just basically hasn't put a foot wrong, but neither has the leader. Mocci, he's got out there, made that good start. He has been under a lot of pressure by 3 different drivers to take that lead away from him. He's managed to resist all of them. Whether he can resist this man behind him now, I'm not too sure, because remember, this guy finished 2nd yesterday, and this is his first foray into the championship. So he's taken over the car that had previously won the majority of the races here. So we'll have to see whether he can actually get there or not. But this is a really good overtaking opportunity. Down this straight, they really do get a good turn of speed. into that first corner.
Beloardo around the outside of Davide Di Benedetto. However he's got the car set up, it's certainly working for him. Now Jan Charuz working his way back up the order. He's just got by Christian Kadena for 6th place. He was having a look at Emilio Di Vallota there further back. So he's desperate to try and recompense some of those points that he lost from throwing the lead away. But absolutely right about Marco Mocci. He's got most of the moves taped here, hasn't he? He's got most things covered. There's Tall Graves, and that's the hotel sequence. Look again, Inácio Beloardo pulls out. As David said earlier, he gets phenomenal drive off the final corner, and that is probably one of the critical corners here, because you can drive around the outside of somebody if you need to, if they've got the inside line covered. And again, Di Benedetto dropping off the back of the lead group as Beloardo closes right up on 2nd place Sala Quadra. And Marco Mocci, the Allen's racing driver, still in front. And he has now had an overtaking manoeuvre either attempted or successfully used on him at, I think, pretty much every single corner of the track apart from the Bilstein chicane. So he must have most of those pretty well taped. And again, Sala Quadra slows as he pays attention to us. And Beloardo comes around the outside, and he will go straight by him, because that is the racing line, and the inside line is not as easily held as the outside line. Beloardo just took 2nd place there without 2 thoughts about it. And again, now within the end of the lap, by the end of the lap, he will be right behind our leader, Marco Mocci. In fact, he's right behind him now.
So Beloardo now in 2 laps has had 2 overtaking manoeuvres at the end of that straight. The thing is, can he do another one? He's pointing inside the car, he's pointing, I want past, I want past. He's been here before, he knows he's faster than Mocci, but same as what we said before, being fast is one thing, getting past is another one. And this is the overtaking manoeuvre. This is the 2nd time in 2 laps down that straight. Good exit off the last corner, and there he was. Going past into the first corner. So we'll just see if he can do exactly the same and make it 3 out of 3. But he knows he's quick because he keeps pointing, he's diving from side to side. Maybe he's not even going to wait until he gets to that last corner.
You know what? Marco Mocci just asked for that. Moving into the middle of the line down to the shell S's and watching the mirrors. He wasn't showing any intention of using the racing line as Sala Quadra tries to get alongside Beloardo there. And Mocci's just asking for it. As soon as somebody gets up behind him, he slows down and watches the mirrors. Well, that time he actually got off the corner. And look at Sala Quadra. Can Sala Quadra do a Beloardo on Beloardo, or will he have to go to the inside? He goes inside. Beloardo closes him down and takes the lead. Again, Marco Mocci looking in the mirrors. Oh, what's that? What's that? Oh, hang on a minute. There's a corner.
He really did mess that one up. He was just fast asleep. He's been really good the whole time. He's done 16, 17 laps, and all of a sudden he arrived at that first corner fast asleep, and 2 of them went past. The
outbreaking battle for 2nd went by him. That's inexcusable. And Mocci now again only watching the mirrors, weaving across the track. Do you know what? The Allen's Racing team manager, if he ever starts on the front row of the grid again, snap the mirrors off accidentally on the grid, so he can't tell what's behind him and can only see what's in front, and then he might stand a chance. Anyway, Inácio Beloardo versus Felipe Sala Quadra. That is our battle for the lead. Marco Mocci, left to his own devices, will now watch the cars behind him until he drops down the order. I wonder if Davide Di Benedetto will actually have to make an overtaking manoeuvre. At the moment, he's behind Marco Mocci, and he has been up as high as 3rd, but only because everybody in front of him has peeled off into the gravel or the grass or somewhere else at some stage. Right behind him, though, and closing in very fast, is Jan Charuz, and I still think that Jan Charuz has every opportunity to finish in the top 3. There are 7 laps to go, and Jan Charuz is certainly close enough to take both these guys without thinking twice about it. He'll probably do it in the same manoeuvre, actually, I would think, in about a lap or 2's time. But Felipe Sala Quadra, yesterday's runner-up, now chasing Inácio Beloardo to try and win this one. Has he gone off? No, he hasn't. He's just managed to hold on to it. Inácio Beloardo, Felipe Sala Quadra, Mocci, Di Benedetto and Charuz almost as one now. Charuz just a few car lengths away, and as for the rest of them, again, Charuz trail braking deep there into turn 4.
Charuz has really been pushing it. He's been about 2 seconds a lap faster than the guys at the front of the field. and you can see just how quickly he's been catching these guys, but he is pushing right to the limit. That's why he's locking brakes up, that's why he's missing apexes and going wide, and he really is putting a lot of effort into it. If he was out front, he would have left the rest of them for dead. He really is the quickest man on the circuit.
Except now they've got past Mochi. Beloardo and Sala Quadra are both down in the 1-minute 20s, just where Jan Charuz was, and Charuz now is stuck behind Marco Mochi. If they'd been stuck behind Mochi for another 2 or 3 laps, then Charuz would have been right with them. Now they're going as quickly as he is, and he's got the 2-car bottleneck in front of him, but I wonder for how long. Here we come. Jan Charuz right behind Di Benedetto now into the Bilstein chicane. On the back straight, he'll do at least one of them, if not both.
And I'm pretty sure that when it gets back onto the start and finish straight, he'll certainly have one there as well going into the first corner, so we'll have to just wait and see. But here's the lead battle up front, but there you see is how close it is for 3rd, 4th and 5th. And Jan Charuz desperately trying to make up for what was a fairly elementary mistake when he was out in the lead, knew he was quicker than everybody else, and then all of a sudden disappeared off. But now he's caught them up. He is finding it quite difficult to get past them. He caught them at a great rate of knots, but all of a sudden he's lost that momentum and he hasn't been able to sort of like arrive and pass straight away, which is what you need to do. You can see how quick he is out of that chicane, quicker than Di Benedetto, but unfortunately not able to capitalise on it.
Well, Di Benedetto just holding him off here into the Shell S's. So he needs now to get his head down and get a good run through turn 8 and the final corner. The final corner is absolutely key. Turn 8, plunging downhill, braking hard, and then accelerating through the downhill final corner, controlling the wheel spin. He's almost looking for the overlap there as he goes into the final corner. And still Sala Quadra trying to get past Beloardo. Here he comes. He'll do Di Benedetto, but it'll take him another lap to get past the orange and black car of early race leader Marco Mochi. Jan Charuz now up to 4th place. That's more vital points, and he needs to take more of those and capitalise again. Here's the change for 4th. Charuz, comfortable and well-judged move down the inside, perhaps a little more curb than he wanted, and that'll make it a few more corners before he catches the orange and black machine of Marco Mochi. But the leaders are romping away, 1:20.58 and 5:4 for Beloardo and Sala Quadra respectively on that last lap, and Charuz 1:20.0 on that last lap. So although the leaders are pulling away from Marco Mochi, Charuz certainly has still got the fastest car on the track, with the exception of nobody at the moment. No, in fact, nobody is going as quickly as him that is still in the race. But nobody who's not in the race is going quickly at all. Martin, you idiot.
And here we see these two still battling it out, but I have to say for Sala Quadra, he is doing very well. This is his 2nd race and he's lying in 2nd place. He was 2nd place yesterday in the 1st race, so to arrive at the championship and to walk away with 2 2nd places is pretty impressive, whichever way you look at it. But the man who should have been impressive, who should have been out in the lead, is still in 4th place, trying to get past Mochi there with the orange car. So Jan Charuz, while he's now up into 4th, they can see the time, so there's a minute left.
So last lap then. They're not going to get their 24-lap race distance in, which means that this is the last opportunity for Jan Charuz. Now, have they told him that? Did they tell him as he came across the line? I wonder if there was more than 1 minute and 20 seconds at the line. I'm not sure, but hopefully the team will have told him. It's last chance too for Felipe Sala Quadra. My suspicion here has been that he's been happy to pile the pressure on and try and crack Beloardo, because I think the cars are very evenly matched indeed, and the drivers similarly. And having seen Charuz chuck it away, be happy with 2nd place if he can't break Beloardo for the lead. S's for the last time then, I would think, for Jan Charuz. We should see the checkered flag at the end of the lap. Ignacio Beloardo, though, might just make it to the line before that minute runs out. Let's have a look at the clock. Yes, I think he will. Yes, 1 to go then, so there is one more chance. 3 seconds of the race remained as he came to the line, or of the half hour remained. Last lap then. Now, here's Jan Charuz, last lap, and look how far over to the driver's left Mochi was, but still chronically slow into the first corner. He was so early on the brakes that Jean Charus almost had to run into him trying to slow down in time. Beloardo and Felipe Salaquadra, I don't think there's going to be a change there unless Ignacio Beloardo takes it into his head to throw it off the island on the last lap. I think Jean Charus is the car we must watch. Of course, we're not directing the pictures, unfortunately. Somebody else has decided they're going to watch the leaders in case they change, and presumably in replay we will see if anything happens for third place. After all, it is only the second guy in the championship, as opposed to a guy who's never been in the championship before, and somebody else who's down in about, well, actually third in the championship. So Beloardo is going to do himself a lot of favours here. He was only 1 point behind Jean Charus in the points as they came here. And so, in fact, Beloardo is not only leading the junior race, but he is second overall in the championship at the moment, and will... Whoa! Oh, I can't believe it. Penultimate corner, and he nearly threw it off. And will add 10 points to that total here as he wins here in Oschersleben. That is his second race win. He won race 2 at Magny-Cours as well. Ignacio Beloardo wins here, and that's a very impressive performance from him. And Jean Charus did not get him at the line, I don't think, did he? Didn't get past Mochi.
So Mochi finished third. That was very good defensive driving by Mochi. He really wasn't the quickest guy out there, but he just kept everybody else behind him. And why has our leader decided to stop? He came across the line, he stood on the brakes, he lit the thing up.
Tossed it across the line.
And really had all that smoke coming out. Nearly had Salaquadra run in the back of him. I have to say I'm very much against this, locking all four wheels up and having lots of smoke coming out, especially when the second guy's right behind you. And you had to see him all of a sudden dive out so as not to run in the back of him. But that's one very happy driver, Beloardo there. He got out of the car, gave the car a little kiss, hopped back into it, and set himself off again. He would have looked very stupid if he managed to stall the car, because these things don't have their own starters or can start themselves. Yeah,
phenomenal job to find neutral on a Formula 3000 car. But I have to say, the stoppie and driving around without the seatbelts on, unless they've changed the blue book, I'm sure both of those have got, well, certainly driving around without your seatbelts on, I'm sure that's got to be a penalty somewhere.
It is an FIA penalty, yes.
Anyway, he is our thoroughly delighted winner, and he goes away from Oschersleben second in the championship. So that is it then from Oschersleben for the Formula 3000. Rain, but not quite as much as we had at Brands Hatch, and fortunately we managed to get yesterday's race in without too many incidents with the safety car. And so Jean Charus really had everything to gain here and took precious little of it away with him. He could have closed the leaders' points margin down to a mere 4, but as it is, Jean Charus with 4th place here, and with what was it, 6th place in yesterday's race, 5th place in yesterday's race, just not doing enough to make enough of an impression. Jaroslav Yanis will have finished with Le Mans by the time they get to Brno, his home race and that of the team in the Czech Republic. Jean Charus will be, of course, with the Charus Racing Team next time out at Brno. That's not until September, so it's going to be a long, hot summer for these guys. I imagine that, like Felipe Salaquadra, who'll go back to the Euro Formula 3000 Championship, they will all find other things to do. Emilio Di Villota needs to sit down and have a bit of a think about things like racecraft and fitness, because he's just really not providing any kind of answer to these cars. He needs to get some miles in, and Christian Kadena, I have to say, is becoming an increasingly impressive racing driver. In yesterday's little feature with him, he was saying that he was looking at Luke Alfond, another former downhill skier turned racer, as his kind of benchmark at the moment. And Luke Alfond also at Le Mans at the test weekend this weekend. Of course, Luke Alfond, a very, very successful racing driver and desert raider as well, of course, the winner of the Dakar. So Luke Alfond has become a very successful motor racing driver from a downhill ski career, and it looks as though Christian Kadena is set on carving a similar niche for himself. What next? Footballers turned racing drivers? Oh, saints preserve us. So that's it from the Formula 3000 then, and action continues on Eurosport International with the World Touring Cars later on after the MotoGP. Until then, from Martin Haven and David Leslie, bye for now.